whether it's going out to dinner or ordering takeout at a local restaurant.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got him, it's a sack!
Sixers.
Oh, baby!
And Flyers. 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hinnick.
It's good!
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
And he's cool!
Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Josh Hinnick.
Eagles win, but that is how we start the Power Hour known as Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. I am Josh Hinnick hanging out with you on a Monday night. We got a double header of action tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, we have Monday Night Football, Chiefs versus Bucks. Following that will be the Sixers taking on the Phoenix Suns and what we anticipate to be the debut of Paul George in a Sixers uniform tonight. But before we get to all of that, we got to recap the Eagles' win yesterday. You know, it's going to be an interesting conversation, and you guys, I want you to chime in at 609-403-0973 because the more the day goes on, the more I feel like I'm not sure if we all watched the same game. And again, I might be wrong. I might not be watching this game the correct way. But yesterday, I'm watching the game, right? And I'm out there, and I'm out and about. You know, I spent the first half of the game at Mud Hen Brewing in Wildwood, and I watched the second half of the game over at Whale Tail Brewing. And, you know, I'm glad I was at Whale Tail when this happened because there wasn't as many people around for me and my exasperations. Thank goodness, you know, the people at Whale Tail were Eagle fans too, because some of the things I was saying yesterday, they cannot be repeated on the radio. Because Whale Tail had the sound on, and we're watching the game. And I don't understand how the Eagles had a 22-0 lead, and it completely evaporated. Now, I understand for a lot of you out there, you are frustrated, you are angry, you are annoyed with Nick Sirianni. And we will get to all the Sirianni stuff because I got plenty on that point. But I just want to know why I have heard nobody talk about the Eagles' defense in the second half of that game. I made the comment last night on social media, and I don't know if I got no pushback because people would just, whistle and wave to me and say, we don't care what you think, Josh, or because nobody actually had the stones to argue with me about it. But the reality for me was that I'm watching the Eagles game, and I'm sitting there down in the Cayman Courthouse area, Whale Tail Brewing across the street from Home Depot. And it was like watching two different games. It was like I changed venues and it was two different games. Because as I said, I started the day at Mud Hen Brewing in Wildwood, where Mike Gill and the Sports Bash will be having their 99 bottles party the day before Thanksgiving. If you are wanting to qualify for that contest, like Paul from Ocean City just did last hour, you got to tune into the Mike Gill and the Sports Bash when you hear the sounder each hour again tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN. And I started at Mud Hen, and I think it's fair to say I felt pretty good when I walked out of there and it was 16-0 Eagles, right? So I walk out of Wildwood. I head over to Whale Tail Brewing. And I get there, and I settle myself in, and I get myself all situated for the second half of this game, right? And the Jags, 3 and out. Boom. I'm like, all right, we're on the right path. And then they score that touchdown. And you see that you see how Hurts runs in, okay, for the touchdown. And you're like, all right, it's 22-0. This game is in hand. We are going to run away with this game, right? Well, we were wrong. Because I couldn't believe that Jacksonville, a team that couldn't get anything done offensively for the first 70% of that game, all of a sudden, they scored 2 touchdowns on their next 2 possessions. Now, you can't blame the fumble on the Eagles defense because, first of all, we don't even know if that should have been a fumble, okay? There's a lot of people like myself who are looking at that fumble and looking at the officials from the Eagles-Jags game yesterday, from the Ohio State-Penn State game on Saturday, from the Oregon-Michigan game on Saturday, from the oh my goodness, what was the other game? The Bills-Dolphins game. There were so many missed calls this week. It's starting to make me wonder if the organizations that hire referees are just hiring people who can't see or make good decisions. But I digress. That's a conversation for another day. So you see the Jags, they get 3 more possessions between midway through the third quarter into midway through the fourth quarter. They got 3 more possessions. They score a touchdown on 2 of those possessions. And they're long drives, 10-play drive, 9-play drive. And I'm just sitting there cringing, like, what happened to this defense? Am I the only one who felt that way yesterday? Because if I go by social media, and I go by all the pundits, I go by all the analysts, and I know it's hard to go by social media because it's not the real world. It's fake land. It's people pretending to be someone they're not. So I understand that those things are kind of... But why is nobody questioning the defense yesterday? Why am I the only one? Why am I the only one sitting there with a drink in front of me, not even drinking it because I'm so perturbed by watching the Eagles defense get sliced and diced by a Jags team that is without their number 1 receiver for the rest of the year with a broken collarbone, who trade away their starting left tackle because they're a 2-6 ball club coming into the game, a team that has not won a game on the road this year. You were winning the game 22-0. And all of a sudden, over the course of basically 12 minutes of game time, which is probably more like a half hour of real time, you went from being up 22-0 to being up 28-23. And then Jake Elliott misses the field goal, and you're thinking, oh no, here it is. This is how we are going to fall apart. It's the defense. Now, the defense came up big. They got the interception that ended the game. Amazing play by Nakobe Dean. A great job by the Eagles to button themselves up and get their heads out of the rut. But boy, oh boy, nobody saw about the defense. So am I the only one who was frustrated yesterday? I can't be. I can't be the only person watching that Eagles game, sitting there like, how did this defense lead the game 22-0 and then allow all of these points near the end of the game? I guess I am the only one because I haven't seen a single post on social media except for mine, at Josh Hennig on Twitter X platform, at Joshua S. Hennig on Instagram, hanging out with you in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios here on 97.3 ESPN. I haven't seen a single person on the text board at 609-403-0973. Not a single person on the DMs through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. I've seen not a single soul except for me, criticize this defense. Why is that? Why am I living in a world where everyone only wants to blame and talk about Nick Sirianni today? Why isn't there a single person who wants to criticize the Eagles defense today? This is an Eagles defense that for 3 straight games was getting pressure on the quarterback. Then yesterday, you have a 22-0 lead, and all of a sudden, you couldn't get pressure on the quarterback? The Eagles had 3 quarterback hits in the game yesterday. Josh Sweat had 2 sacks. Most of the pressure they got was before the final 15 minutes of game time yesterday. Why is that? What happened? Zach Baum was having an amazing game until the final 16 minutes of the game. Josh Sweat having a great game. Isaiah Rodgers, Jalen Carter, they're all having a really good game until the end of the game? Am I not allowed to ask that question? But yet, I got David Carr on NFL Network saying that the Eagles are a threat in the NFC, especially to the Lions, because of their defense?
The Eagles completely shut down the run game. You talk about Detroit, right? Like this. Like Alvin Kamara just came off one of his biggest days ever against Dallas, and they went in there to Philly. They didn't do anything. Like they were behind the line of scrimmage the entire time. And so I think about Detroit. Detroit wants to play this brand of football. And if you have the defense in front and Vic Fangio's mind and his ability to kind of scheme up, that's a really good combo. So I'm going to say Philly.
Let's get to the text board, 609-403-0970. You guys can put me in my place. You can tell me if I'm right or I'm wrong, whatever it is, okay? But I want to hear from you guys. Text chimes in, says, no, Josh, I was 1,000% frustrated with the defense last night. He says, by the way, it just made it look like ETN was looking for a flop call instead of actually making a play on that interception that Dean got. You know, I think that the problem with ETN is, what people don't know is, and I wrote about this 973ESPN.com, he was not even potentially going to play yesterday. He was injured coming into that game, and he was not 100%, and you could tell at times. So I don't know if he's looking for a flop or a flag, or is he just didn't look right the entire game. So I tend to think that ETN, his head was not, he was not planting and stepping and running like an athlete who was 100%. He was running and stepping and planting his feet in the ground like a guy who didn't want to get injured again. So I think that was the problem with him yesterday. George from Summers Point chimes in, hey, Josh, I totally agree with you. The defense yesterday tried to give away the game to the Jags. This is the biggest thing that bothers me about Sirianni's press conferences today, where he said the reason that happened is because they let their foot off the gas. It should have never happened. George from Summers Point. Well, George Summers Point, you heard me say here on 97.3 ESPN on Friday's show, I said key number 1 was don't take your foot off the gas pedal. So if you want to blame the head coach for being part of taking your foot off the gas pedal, I can do that. You're right, George. They got up to 22-0 and they hit cruise control as a team. Now, I don't think Saquon fumbled the ball because first of all, I don't think it was a fumble. And second of all, I think it was a fluke thing that the ball came out of his arm the way it did. I don't think the Eagles' offensive line said, you know what, we're done playing today. And that's why Fred Johnson had that stupid penalty late in the third quarter. I don't think that happened at all. I think that, as you said, George Summers Point, there was an attitude overall, not individually, but collectively, of we got this game in hand, cruise control, boys. You're right. There was definitely that to the game yesterday, George Summers Point. I will say, though, you know, the problem with Sirianni is that every time he speaks, he doesn't do himself any favors. And so when he says stuff like, yeah, we took our foot off the gas a little bit, or when he says stuff like, hey, I look back at all the plays that I called, and I wouldn't change one thing, like he's Conor McGregor in the Octagon years ago. And it's like the lack of awareness this man has, it goes back to what Chris Long was saying on the Greenlight podcast about Nick Sirianni. And I know some of this is tongue-in-cheek. I know some of this is a bit hyperbole, but here was Chris Long on the Greenlight pod.
It was pretty damn funny to watch. Sirianni line up. Hey, we're trying to draw him off. Then they're like, we didn't draw him off. He goes to the sideline. They're like, we're kicking a field goal. He's got his hands in his pockets probably. He's sitting on his hands. And then you get a damn penalty, and you just watch him, and he's just like, oh, I got to make a decision. He's like, I got to go for it.
I mean, it's a little tongue-in-cheek because, yes, Sirianni is not a drug addict when it comes to going to two-point conversions. But there is a vibe with Sirianni where it's like, this dude just can't help himself. And what's crazy about it is you would think based on the people throughout the day, the Dan Orlovskis and the Chris Cannies and the different people on different media platforms who are all saying what they're saying, you would think that Sirianni had a complete meltdown. But, the Eagles are 64.7% on fourth down this year. That's actually seventh best in the NFL. The Eagles are top 10 in the NFL in going for it on fourth down. There's only one team in the NFL who has converted more two-point attempts than the Eagles have this year, and that's Jacksonville, the team he just played. By the way, the Giants, for comparison, they're 0 for 6 on two-point conversions. So it's not that the Eagles are horrible or bad at these things, but it's the vibe that there is this perception now of Sirianni, as Chris Long explained on the Greenlight podcast, that, again, it's not that we literally think this way, but we have gotten to a point where Sirianni comes off as this. And for an NFL head coach to come off this way, and for people in the media and people who are former players to react this way to the guy, this is why we can't have real football conversations like I'm trying to have here on 97.3 ESPN. Like Tom and Margate and Paul in Ocean City and George at Summers Point, we're all trying to have this conversation, but when the head coach comes off this way, it's hard to have a real football conversation.
I'm going to tell my grandkids about Nick Sirianni one day. Seriously, I'm going to be sitting at the table and be like, you should have seen him. He was like, if they grabbed somebody out of the stands, 6 Miller Lights deep, it was like, go coach your heart out, dude. And I'm talking about the good with the bad.
He's right. Sirianni has created this optic of himself, and it distracts from the game. So, listen, I know some of you are really mad at Sirianni and not going for the extra point, not going for the field goal yesterday, and I agree with some of that. And we could talk about that as well at 609-403-0973. But we're also going to talk about how the defense choked and almost lost that game for you. So Paul from Ocean City, Tom from Margate, your text coming up next. I'm Josh Hennig. This is 97.3 ESPN FM, hanging out with you in the Ocean Casino Resort studios on a Monday night.
Wake up weekday mornings from 6 to 10 a.m. with Unsportsmanlike on 97.3 ESPN with Evan Cohen, Super Bowl champion Chris Canty, and Michelle Small.
Can't wake up without it.
Brought to you by the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City.
Hey, Birds fans, it's about that time. Football season is back, and Boardwalk Honda is giving you the chance to score big. Stop in and take advantage of game-changing savings all month long. Shop our lineup of new pre-owned and certified pre-owned Hondas. We have something for everyone, and credit problems are no problem with over 25 financial lenders to get you approved and on the road to victory. Visit us in Egg Harbor Township or online at boardwalkhonda.com. And remember, from Maine to Miami, nobody beats a Boardwalk deal.
Wendy's breakfast burrito has an entire breakfast in every bite. Fresh cracked eggs,
seasoned potatoes, American cheese, cheese sauce, and sausage or bacon. So the first bite is like fresh cracked American cheese or bacon. And the second bite is like fresh cracked American cheese, bacon. And the third bite, you get the idea. The boss of breakfast burritos, gotta be Wendy's.
Participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Sounds like wipers. If your wipers are streaking, skipping, chattering, or even worse, loud, you need to visit AutoZone and get some fresh new blades. We've got basic wipers to get you back on the road, as well as premium blades from Bosch and Rain-X. So if you're hearing this, just head to your nearest AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard. But when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted it close to town, with a picture window overlooking a yard. And you found it. Now, when you sit down to dinner, you've got front row seats to your neighbor's daily pickleball game. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliate and other insurers not available in all states.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Nissan. If you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released. Matt Blatt Nissan.com. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. The Sixers are in Phoenix tonight to begin a 3-game West Coast road trip. They'll take on the Suns. Philadelphia has dropped 4 of the first 5 games of the year. On Saturday, they lost to the Memphis Grizzlies by 17 points. Paul George is expected to make a season debut tonight. Joel Embiid remaining out, managing a left knee injury. The Eagles beat Jacksonville Sunday 28-23. Philadelphia winning their 4th in a row, raising their record to 6-2. They had a 22-0 lead in the third quarter. Jalen Hurts threw for 230 yards, had 2 touchdowns. He also ran for a score. Saquon Barkley ran for 159 yards with another Eagles touchdown, and Philadelphia's defense had 2 interceptions of Jacksonville quarterback Trevor Lawrence. The Flyers traveling to Raleigh, North Carolina to face the Hurricanes on Tuesday night. Start of a 3-game road trip that includes games against the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. Philadelphia losing Saturday to the Boston Bruins to end a 2-game win streak. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Good afternoon. With your South Jersey weather forecast, I'm Joe Kelly. We continue racking up the beautiful days in South Jersey after a nice weekend. We've had a pretty nice Monday. We're going to go into tonight looking at partly cloudy sky, a low temperature about 52. Tomorrow looks good, mostly sunny with a high of 59. As of right now, we don't have any rain in the forecast till at the very earliest Sunday. That's your South Jersey weather forecast. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm Joe Kelly.
When things are just too hard and you need someone to listen, 988 is here. Call, text, or chat 24/7. We are here for you. 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Call 988. A message from New Jersey Human Services.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
All right, let's get back to the text board here at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank Seattle. And you know what? If you want to hang out with me and watch the Eagles, and we could all complain together in the course of an Eagles game like I was yesterday at Whaletail Brewing Company, you could join me this Sunday at Doyle's Poorhouse in Tuckerton, another 4 o'clock game for the Birds, this time against the Dallas Cowboys. And I know some of you Eagle fans, you hate the Cowboys more than any other team the Eagles play every single year. Some of you are fanatically, like, over-the-top passionate in your hatred for the Cowboys. So why don't you channel that energy with me this Sunday at Doyle's Poorhouse, where we will be giving away prizes at halftime. Of course, don't forget the Eagles-Cowboys game, 4:25 kickoff, and we will be there for the entire Eagles game. So come and hang out with me this Sunday at Doyle's Poorhouse in Tuckerton for our Eagles-Cowboys watch party with me and 97.3 ESPN. All right, back to the text board now at 609-403-0973. Let's check in with Paul from Ocean City. He chimes in on the text board a little bit earlier and says, hey, Josh, we got lucky yesterday getting that win. Didn't feel like a win at the end of the Eagles game. Way too close for comfort. Hopefully coaching will learn from the mistakes and keep going for it for 2 and not taking the 3 points when we have a 4th and 3. Plus, the 4th and 3 play call was a 15-yard slow developing crossing route. Says something quick. And then going for more zone, prevent defense. It's very frustrating, but I'm happy about the win and the development of our young players. Paul from OC. So, a couple of things there from Paul and OC. Number one, you're right. There is a vibe of, I think people know we won the game, right? People know the Eagles won the game, but there's the mentality of you walk away feeling like a loser. You'll walk away feeling like you should have done more. You could have done more. You could have been more. You know, the whole, you could have been somebody kind of thing. You could have done more. Absolutely. And I think part of the problem with a game like that yesterday, Paul and OC, is that, as you said, when we are watching the game, okay, I'm sitting there watching it. You're sitting there watching. We're all sitting there wherever we are at our house, if we're out and about with friends, wherever we are watching the game. When we see something on the television with the camera angles they give us on TV, but the people calling the game with more resources, more access, more everything than we are supposed to have, and we see what should be happening, and the coaches don't. And then when the reporters go and ask the coaches, hey, this is pretty obvious. Can you explain to us why you did this? And they can't give you a good answer. That's when people get frustrated. That's when people roll their eyes. That's when people look at these coaches and they don't respect them. I genuinely believe, and I might be wrong about this. So you guys can tell me if I am wrong at 609-403-0973. But I genuinely believe that if Nick Sirianni and the different coaches in different sports, Nick Nurse with the Joel Embiid stuff for the Sixers and these other people like Rob Thompson and some of his answers, I genuinely believe that these guys would have different answers if these guys would just come out and say things differently. I think a lot of us would react differently to these coaches. We wouldn't treat them like they're idiots because we don't feel like we're being belittled or talked down to. I think that is part of the conversation that needs to be had. If Nick Sirianni didn't constantly give us word salad, we wouldn't look at him like he's a weirdo. And when you sit there and you keep going for it on fourth down, you keep going for the 2-point conversion, and frankly, you could make an argument that the reason why Jake Elliott missed a field goal yesterday is because it didn't let him kick all day. He had no practice. He had no warm-up. And you're asking a guy to go kick a field goal and he hasn't kicked at all throughout the day? I mean, that might be a possibility why it didn't work out so well. Tom from Margate chimes in. Josh, you are not the only one who is frustrated. I was driving, almost drove off the road when the Jags came back in that Eagles game. Eagles cannot play like that versus a team like Dallas. Plus, do you think Sirianni needs to take 1 or 2 public speaking classes? Tom from Margate, first of all, I think Sirianni's problem is less public speaking, but it is communication. I think there are a lot of people who are public figures, coaches, politicians. They're surrounded by people who don't always give them the right information, and they tend to go out there and sound like idiots or sound like robots or sound like they're just saying a lot of nothing. To me, there's not much of a difference between Nick Sirianni and fill-in-the-blank politician who also doesn't say a lot. I think a lot of these people, again, it's maybe not public speaking specifically, but it's learning how to better communicate with people. One of the things that I learned at an early age, now I will admit I have a much different upbringing than Nick Sirianni and a lot of these other guys do. But, when I was in high school and when I was in college and I was in my early years of working in radio, I took a lot of and spent a lot of time with media professionals. And one of the important elements that they teach you when it comes to, my first media job was I was a freelance newspaper writer. And my first job in radio, I was 20 years old. And when I was younger, okay, we had to, I was involved in a lot of events and activities that had to do with a lot of public presentation in high school and junior high. And the common thread between all of those was you're not speaking to the group in front of you. You're not speaking to the crowd. They always used to teach you, you're speaking to one person. A lot of people would have stage fright. If you're performing in a play or you're doing a public speaking at an event, or, maybe you get nervous and you overthink as a writer. Or, me on a microphone. I could sit here and think about, I'm talking to all these people. But what they teach you is you're speaking to one individual. And if you just focus on that one individual, it'll help you focus and concentrate what you're saying. I don't think a lot of these people like Sirianni ever learned that trick. I think Sirianni's trying so hard to not say the wrong thing or not give away information because he works for an organization that treats information like it's the CIA. I mean, they asked him a simple question about A.J. Brown today. He could have given you more than he's feeling good. He's in good spirits. Well, darn, Nick, you could be in good spirits after a car accident and have whiplash. It doesn't mean you can play on Sunday in the NFL. You know, these guys, they don't get it. And I don't think their PR people get it either. Look at the 76ers. The 76ers had a month to give us the right information. And when they finally give it to us, it's on a Friday news dump. Through a guy on ESPN TV at a time of day that nobody cares about the NBA. I don't know about you, but in October, NBA is not number one on my mind. Football's on my mind. Not the NBA. So then what happens is when I go to the Sixers game on Saturday night and I'm hanging out with Billy Schweim and his brother Bobby and Dave Klemick and Nick's Nuggets, Nick Earnshaw, and I'm hanging out with all these people. And let me get it straight. I had a great time. Okay, great time. So glad I went. But when I'm hanging out with all these people, because the news came out under the radar, nobody knew what was going on. I had to explain it to everybody who asked me a question. I don't mind answering those questions, but I do think that when you have a team and an organization where the face of the organization should be putting out certain information, I think it does have an impact sometimes on these conversations that we're having. All right, more text coming in. Steve from Ventnor chimes in at 609-403-0973 on the text board. Steve from Ventnor says the only team that looks sillier on fourth down yesterday was the Cowboys. Did you see that fake punt? Yeah, the fake punt was pretty bad. And it wasn't even the fake punt. It was the fact that the punter so horribly threw the ball. Like, if you're going to have somebody fake a punt and go and throw the ball, I mean, it might be a good idea to just make sure he actually knows how to throw the ball and he doesn't just chuck it out there. That was just bad. It was really bad. So, yeah, I'll give you that. You know, maybe the Cowboys were worse. No, I'm not going to say maybe. No, the Cowboys were definitely worse, okay? I'm not going to argue that point. The Cowboys were definitely worse. Because here's the thing with the Eagles, and I think that, you know, for all of the criticism that we are giving Nick Sirianni and the Eagles, there's two sides of a coin, right? You know, there's heads and tails. I think there's two sides to this conversation. Because we can criticize Nick Sirianni for not going for three-point conversions and not going for extra points and all that stuff. And we can criticize him for not being a good public speaker and not being a good linguist and not having a good grip on the English language. But at the end of the day, Nick Sirianni is what, 40-19 now as an NFL head coach? Let me look it up. I mean, the guy has had an incredible run as a head coach. So, sure, we can criticize specific moments in games, but he's not an idiot. And he's not a bum. And for guys like Dan Orlovsky to basically suggest that yesterday Nick Sirianni could have lost his job, I think it's very nearsighted.
I love Philadelphia's team. I don't trust the coach. I think this is the only legit playoff contender where the coach is a question mark. No coach takes more points off the board than Nick Sirianni. It's unacceptable that they continue, and beyond lucky that Trevor Lawrence throws that interception. Because if Trevor Lawrence leads their team down and they win that football game, I don't think Nick Sirianni's walking in Tuesday morning as the head coach of the football team. That's that bad.
And the problem with a comment like that is, well, if Sirianni was that bad, right, yesterday? Like, based on the way Orlovsky verbalized it. Why should Sirianni lose his job, but yet you have a coach in Mike McCarthy in the Dallas Cowboys who still has his job? There's nobody in the NFL with a longer track record of poor, inconsistent, end-of-game decision-making than Mike McCarthy. You know, the Cowboys have lost 3 straight games since that unexpected win in Pittsburgh on Sunday Night Football at the beginning of October. You look at what they've done since then. They have been inconsistent offensively. They have been sloppy. They have made some bad decisions. I mean, now Ezekiel Elliott's been told basically to not show up to the game because he's been late for practice all week. Dak Prescott injures his hamstring. He's not playing this Sunday against the Eagles. It's going to be another Cooper Rush game. Yeah. Jalen Hurts versus Cooper Rush Part 2. The Cowboys are such a mess that the Cowboys have started more quarterbacks in the Jalen Hurts era than the Eagles have. But yet that guy keeps his job. But Dan Orlovsky wants to say, Sirianni lost that game. He might have been fired. And that's the problem with these conversations. It's easy for a guy like Dan Orlovsky to sit up there on television to say those things with no context and be completely subjective and not objective at all. I just think it's a bad job by Orlovsky. I think it's bad by any of these guys. You know, I'll play you the David Carr comment from NFL Network. I mean, this made me fall over last night when I heard him say this, because when former players like David Carr and Dan Orlovsky and Chris Canty and all these guys say stuff like this, it really it creates an environment where it's hard to have honest, productive conversations because the players are full of such hyperbole. This was David Carr, former first-round pick of the NFL draft, former quarterback for the Houston Texans and New York Giants. He said this on NFL Network's NFL Game Day Final last night.
Oh, I'm terrified next year. If I was an Eagle fan, that's the one guy that could ruin this entire thing. I have more confidence that Jalen Hurts will turn into an elite-level pocket passer, right? I think that I love what he does in the run game, and I love what they're doing on offense and defense. But Nick, his decision-making, he's got to start to figure out something.
And so instead of giving us an answer, right, these guys like Orlovsky and David Carr and Chris Canty, they can get there and complain about Sirianni all they want, but they're not giving you a solution. They're not giving you an answer. And what you're doing is you're feeding into the angst of the fan base. You're feeding into the negative energy that is already lying under the surface. It's like in Star Wars when you have a character who has touched the dark side and they're trying not to be seduced by it. They're trying not to be led astray from the right path, right? And it's like what you're doing to sports fans is the same deal. You're putting them in a position where the sports fan knows what they saw, but then these former players get up on television and change the vibes. And then we're all sitting there like, maybe Sirianni is a problem. Maybe he could get fired. And none of it could be true. You know who got fired today was Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen lost, I believe it was 7 straight games. Okay? I got to pull it up to be exact. But I believe he lost 7 straight. Yeah, start with the Eagles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 7 games. And he lost to the worst team in football yesterday. That's what gets you fired. Robert Saleh basically being unable to weather the craziest of all crazy storms with the New York Jets. That's what gets you fired. This idea that Nick Sirianni having a bad day going for third downs and fourth downs and going forward on fourth downs, like kicking 3-pointers and going for 2-point conversions. Yeah, that doesn't get people fired. And it shouldn't be a reason why you don't trust the Eagles. Because at the end of the day, a player's got to execute. And I saw a defense yesterday that had a lot of trouble executing at the end of that game. And, one of the texters, I forget which one of you said it, at 609-403-0973, whoever said it, you're right. You can't play that way against the Cowboys next week and expect to win, because the Cowboys are a better football team in terms of talent than Jacksonville is. All right, we'll get to more text coming up on the other side. Don't forget, game night being brought to you by my friends over at Boxing Insider Promotions. The boxing event of the holiday season returns to Tropicana, Atlantic City on Saturday, November 16th, with not one, not two, but three of South Jersey's undefeated fighters, all in action in different weight classes. And of course, we will be talking more about the fight card this upcoming week, because undefeated fighter Mr. Atlantic City, Justin Figueroa, will join me tomorrow in studio here on 97.3 ESPN. Undefeated heavyweight Bruce Seldon Jr. will join me on Thursday's show. And next Tuesday, we'll be chatting with Francisco Cisco Kid Rodriguez. Those are all the great those are three of the great South Jersey fighters among the plethora of great up-and-coming fighters who are all a part of this great boxing card on Saturday, November 16th. Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com, because you do not want to miss the boxing event of the holiday season. Saturday, November 16th, Tropicana, Atlantic City. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Maxey for three, outside left, bullseye. He puts it in. A crossover dribble on McBride, and he pours in a triple.
It's Sixers Sun tonight. Coverage begins after Monday Night Football. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball. 97.3 ESPN.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, the official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles, celebrating football season with special new menu items. The Kelsey Combo, created by number 62 himself, a handcrafted barbecue burger, world-famous crab fries, and an ice-cold garage beer. Our incredible jumbo soft pretzel, Chicky style, with a heaping skillet of our own in-house crab dip, and our delectable sweet heat wings, where a portion of the proceeds go to the A.J. Brown Foundation. Participating locations for a limited time. Chickies and Pete's. Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, the official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles. Our new menu includes our boneless wing special every Monday. Buy a single order of our mouth-watering boneless wings and get a snack order of boneless wings free. Every Tuesday and Wednesday, it's buy one, get one free snows. Buy any number of delectable snow crab legs and get the same amount free. Plus the Kelsey Combo, tasty buffalo fried shrimp, seafood pasta in our famous Sicilian or red sauce. Participating locations for a limited time. Chickies and Pete's.
Last year's RV trip, we met a couple with the same bumper sticker. What are the odds?
Your cousin isn't a good storyteller.
He was a podiatrist, or was it a pharmacist?
You don't say.
Oh, I can't remember.
But she owns an RV protected by Progressive, and you don't. So until you get your own RV, her stories are the most interesting stories you've ever heard.
Wow, interesting.
And when you do get your own RV, save money by bundling it with your home, auto, or other vehicles with Progressive.
Oh, anesthesiologist. He was an anesthesiologist.
Progressive
That's
Casualty
right.
Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
This holiday season, Straight Talk Wireless is letting you say yes a lot more with real unlimited data. Yes to sharing pics of the ugliest holiday sweaters. Yes to checking weather on the go for surprise sledding trips. And with a free phone at sign up, let the yes-tivities begin.
No way.
Yes way. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart or straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 1/5/25 while supplies last at participating stores. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store activation on select single-line plans. Limit of 2 phones per customer. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
If you or someone you know needs help getting through a difficult time, start with NJ211. When you reach out to 211, we can connect you to help with housing, utilities, food, childcare, senior services, income support, healthcare, legal issues, and more. Help is available in over 150 languages, and the service is free, confidential, and available 24/7. Need help? Dial 211, text 898-211, or search nj211.org.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check that your seats aren't in the visitor section first, before buying tickets.
I'm so excited for this game. I can't believe you got us tickets.
Me too. Wait, are we on the wrong side?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
This is going to be a long game.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflesh.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflesh.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflesh.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflesh.com.
Time of year for killer deals. You've had your eye on some hot new wheels. We want to pay off your loan or lease and tell your old car to rust in peace. Get your Matt Black Kia today. Buried in a loan or lease? Matt Black Kia wants to get you released and treat yourself to 0 down, 0 payments until next year. Even 0% up to 72 months on every clearly marked new Matt Black Kia in stock. You won't need a costume to get a brand new Matt Black Kia Forte LXS under 20 grand. That's right, a brand new Kia, just $19,999 with any trade. That's less than most used vehicles.
It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
Bulletproof credit 24 EV9 and 6, $13.88 per thousand. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payments. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblackkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Through KMF. Rebates and incentives to deal. Expires 10/31/24. Matt Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike. Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
Prescription products require completion of an online consultation with an independent healthcare provider and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Additional restrictions apply. See website for more details and safety information.
Did you know millions of people are getting prescription medications for weight loss, sexual health, better sleep, and more, all online? RexMD.com has made getting these medications fast and easy, with free delivery of the most popular medications right to your door. Just fill out a brief survey, and if appropriate, we'll prescribe and ship clinically proven options to help with issues like weight loss.
I've lost 45 pounds so far. It's nice to get back into clothes that I haven't been able to wear for a long time.
We can also help with insomnia.
I slept through the whole night. It made me feel very well rested and ready to go for the day.
And RexMD can improve your sexual health.
I felt like a young man again. My wife is happier. I am definitely much happier.
At RexMD.com, we've made the process fast, easy, and affordable. Visit RexMD.com right now to get started. That's REXMD.com.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screams. Go to the Gallery. Go to the Fanatic Sportsbook. Go for the win at Ocean Casino Resort. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
All right, a couple items to get to before we get out of here. First of all, Sixers back in action tonight. Not a loss on Saturday, but the good news is it looks like Paul George will make his debut tonight, and I will not be expecting a crazy big night from Paul George. I expect him to get back into the rhythm of the game. I don't think you're going to see the best of Paul George for another week. I think it's going to take him some time to ramp up back into shape, get fully his legs back under him, but I'm looking forward to seeing what he does later tonight. Credit to Jason Kelce. I was watching him on television. We have a television here in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios, and he was talking about what happened over the weekend. For those who didn't see it, you can go to 973ESPN.com. On Saturday, basically, Kelce was being heckled by basically an immature punk. And, you know, the guy said some inappropriate stuff about Jason's brother and his relationship with Taylor Swift. And Jason reacted to those comments and decided to run over to the guy and smash his phone. So obviously a very unproductive way to handle that situation. Jason went on television just now and apologized for what happened and said it shouldn't have happened. And you could tell it was a struggle for him to say what he was saying. It really did come from his heart. And I think that's what's important in a lot of these situations. We live in a society where the mistake is not the problem. We all make mistakes. We're all human, okay? You know, just like I don't get every pick perfect on the radio, just like I don't all my analysis isn't perfect. You know, we all are human. You know, we've all been in situations where we have said or done the wrong thing. And what's more important is to admit that you made a mistake. Face it head on and handle it like Jason Kelsey just did on television. I think that was very mature and appropriate of him. And I also applaud guys like Scott Van Pelt and the ESPN people for allowing him that opportunity on that platform to say what he said and face the criticism head on. I'm sure it's not over. I'm sure Jason will have more to say on his podcast this coming week, but I applaud Jason for doing what he did on national television. Thanks for everybody for texting in here on the Power Hour on Game Night. I'm Josh Hennick. Have a great night, everybody. I'll catch you tomorrow.
Kevin Harlan here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. This week, a primetime matchup with the only remaining undefeated team in the NFL, the 7-0 Kansas City Chiefs, taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Join me and Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner on Monday Night Football.
Listen to Monday Night Football on 97.3 ESPN. Brought to you by Ace Hardware Home Services, Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Visit acehardwarehomeservices.com to book today.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Black Nissan. New 2024 Nissan Rogue S, 0 down and 2.9% financing for 60 months. But when they're gone, they're gone. Have a trade? Bring it to AJ the Trade Man. He's paying cash, lots of cash, up to 120% more cash than KBB fair market value. Then drive home in your new 2025 Matt Black Nissan Kicks. Just $299 per month lease with 0 security deposits. And every new Matt Black Nissan comes with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Have a job clearing $450 per week at Matt Black Nissan. You're virtually approved today with 0 down and low 2.9% financing. MattBlackNissan.com. Unapproved Tier 1 credit for new Matt. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and 589 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlackNissan.com for complete details. 24 months, 10,000 miles, 27